and welcome to another edition of the Undercard. As always, I'm your host, Jeff Batello. Now, I know I've been away for a minute. Unfortunately, I ended up pulling something in my back, and I've been a bit laid up on the sofa for the past 2 weeks, and not up to much. Now, I'm not 100% yet, but well enough to get the show back on track. Alright, today we're going to be doing fight predictions for UFC Fight Night Live going down this Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. The UFC is finally headed back stateside after being out in Abu Dhabi for the past month, and this venue is going to be held at the UFC's very own Apex. At first, my initial reaction to this fight card was lukewarm at best. However, I took a deeper dive into the fights. There are 3 bouts I'm looking forward to and expecting them to deliver some excitement. So I missed out on giving predictions for the Conor versus Dustin card, and I was super disappointed about it because so far this year, I'm currently sitting 7-4-11 with my predictions, and that puts me at 647 accuracy. Now, it's not the greatest, but at least we're above 500, so we're off to a good start this year. That being said, let's get this show started and let's get into it with the first fight of the night. To start this evening off, they are giving us a barn burner. Carlos Diego Ferreira versus Beneil Dariush. First off, way to open a night of fighting. Make sure to have your popcorn ready for this one, folks. I'm expecting fireworks. I'm still in shock and awe that this fight is not later in the card. One could argue that this should be at least a co-main event. The odds makers have this fight very close, as Dariush is coming in as the slight favorite at a minus 121. This is such a hard fight to choose a winner in. This could go either way. On one hand, you have Ferreira, whose last loss came all the way back in 2015 via a KO by the hands of the uncrowned king of the 155-pound division, Dustin the Diamond Poirier. However, since then, Ferreira has not tasted defeat. Even though Ferreira has put together an impressive 6-fight win streak, he has not been the most active fighter, and sometimes this is a cause for concern for fighters, but that's simply not the case for this aging star. As in his last outing, he put on a very dominating performance against Anthony Pettis and submitted him via a rear naked choke in the second round. As for his opponent, Dariush, who was once a primarily submission fighter, has recently seemed to have fallen in love with his hands. He's shown some tremendous KO power recently. Dariush sat Dakar close down, and I believe it was Scott Holzman he fought. He had that highlight reel spinning elbow, or spinning back fist, sorry, my bad. And it was just amazing. Like I said, this is going to be one hell of an entertaining fight, and I have a feeling that someone is going to sleep in this one. There is also one piece of the story I have not mentioned, not shared with you yet. Ferreira only has 2 losses in his MMA career, and I've already told you the first one, but can you name who that second loss is? Bet you can't. Well, his second loss came to the man he's going to be fighting Saturday night. That's right, these 2 men have met before, and that scrap went the distance, so you can bet that this will be weighing heavily on the mind of Carlos. I'm going to be honest, this tilt has fight of the night and possibly KO of the night written all over it. Every time I bet against Dariush, it has come to bite me, so I'm very scared to kind of bet against him in this one too. Ferreira's boxing looks so crisp in that Pettis fight. This one is a complete toss-up, and I would advise not to put money down on this crap. But we do fight predictions on this show, so we'll have to go with Dariush for a 3rd round KO. Up next, we have a scrap in the bantamweight division featuring Cody Steinman versus Askar Askarov. Askarov is replacing Andre Ewell, who has recently tested positive for COVID-19. That's a bummer. Seems to be going around a lot of camps these days. Askar has been fighting in numerous notable promotions such as LFA, Titan FC, as well as Victory FC. An exciting young prospect making his UFC debut. So we'll see if he is in shock and awe by the big lights. You know what I mean? I think these two men are going to be swinging for the fences, but I expect Cody to be the savvy vet in that he's going to score a couple of takedowns to secure victory, get enough points to point this one out. Corey will have a much easier time standing up with Askar, as Corey's original opponent was going to be Andre, and Andre was going to be enjoying a 10.5-inch reach advantage. So my money's going to be on Corey, as I feel that the vet will be looking to make a statement to the new and up-and-comer. It'll be interesting to see what the odd makers will have these numbers for Corey. But, yeah, Corey for the win. This next scrap is one of the more intriguing fights for me on this fight card. Yet again, we got us another fighter coming in from another fighting organization. This time around, it's a fighter coming from Ryzen and is a bantamweight division champion. His name is Manel Kape. Can't imagine many of you are familiar with Kape unless you've been following Ryzen. But what you need to know is this man has some KO power and is currently on a 3-fight win streak. And of those 3 scraps, they have all ended KO in the second round. This fight has the feel of Michael Chandler versus Dan Hooker all over again. Another top dog, but complete unknown, coming over and trying to make a big splash in their debut. Now, Manuel does not have the body of work that Chandler has put in, but he is fighting a man who, much like Dan Hooker, was a top guy in the division, and that opponent is none other than Andre Pantoja. Pantoja is a very rough fight to cut your teeth in UFC. To make your debut against a man of that caliber it's not easy, but in the UFC, there really ain't no easy fights. Both men are basically of the same stature, so no one is going to be enjoying an advantage of sorts. You can give a slight experience advantage to Pantoja, but that's about it. Of Pantoja's last 3 fights, he's 1-2, and that's why the oddmakers have this one as close as they do. Currently, the oddmakers have Pantoja, the favorite, with a -133. I feel that in this fight there is more pressure for Pantoja due to the fact that, he's a ranked top 5 fighter and he's looking to get back to his winning ways. Manuel will be looking to keep this fight standing, as he has shown he has KO power which is rare in the bantamweight divisions. And what a better way to make a statement in the UFC than getting a KO victory in your UFC debut. As for Pantoja, I see a very cautious Alexander in this fight, and I feel that if he does not feel like he is winning the striking battle, he will look to take this to the ground, which will be no easy task. I know the odds are in Alexander's favor, but I just think there is too much pressure on Alexander in this fight. And I think he's possibly going to make a mistake. I see Manuel being patient early on and looking to counter and pick his shots. I see this fight playing out like this. The first 2 minutes, these men are going to be feeling each other out. However, Alexander is going to start to feel the power of Okay? And this will lead him to change his tactics, and start to look for a takedown. And that's what's going to get him caught. I know the oddmakers have Pantoja as the favorite in this one, but I'm putting my money down on the newcomer and former Rising champion Manuel Camp. And he's going to do it with yet another second round KO. We now turn our attention to the women's bantamweight division for a fight between Marion Renault versus the rising star Macy Chiasson. I like Macy for this fight and think that this is a problem matchup for the much smaller reach of Marion. A 4-inch reach advantage may not seem like much, but when you have the ability to slip in and out of the pocket like Macy does, it will give you fits of rage. Marion is currently on a 3-fight skid, and I feel that the UFC is hoping for a Macy win so that the UFC can cut ties with the Brazilian bruiser, as Dana has made clear that he's looking to chop this roster down. I feel the only way for Marion to avoid that and to win this fight is to back Macy up to the cage and engage in a clinch battle, and to go old school Randy Couture styles and gas Macy out on the cage, and I think that's going to be her key to victory, just to make this one a ugly fight. Unfortunately, I do see Macy Macy's just going to be too agile for the aging Marion, right? Expect to see Macy stay on the outside and even giving up the center of the ring to make Marion press the action and use that to chop at Marion's legs. Right? For me, this is easy money. I'll put it down on Macy all day. This is her fight to lose, in my opinion. Oddmakers have Macy coming in at -194. Alright, on to the co-main event of the night. In this one, we got a young and-comer Corey Sandhagen versus UFC legend Frankie the Answer Edgar. Gonna be honest, don't really like this fight for a few reasons. I ain't mad at the fight, but at this point in Frankie's career, he really can't have too much left to give us. I do realize he's coming off a split decision victory over Pedro Munoz, but we need to take a look at the list of names this man has fought. Frankly, it's staggering. In fact, you'll be hard-pressed to find another list of killers like this man has fought. Alright, I'm going to break down the list of names for you, and like I said, this is it's a little overwhelming, right? As we mentioned before, Pedro Munoz, right? We've got Chang Sung Jung. We've got a Max Holloway fight, and these have been all wars. Cub Swanson, Brian Ortega, Yadir Rodriguez, Jeremy Stevens, Jose Aldo, Chad Mendes, Uriah Faber. That's 10. Back to Cub Swanson again. And then a BJ Penn. Charles Oliveira, a very, very, very young Charles Oliveira. Right? Jose Aldo, yet again. Right? And then he fought Benson Henderson. And then you know who he fought after that? Benson Henderson again. And then he fought Gray Maynard. Back to back. And then he fought BJ Penn. Back to back. So those are his last 20 fights. And of those last 20 fights, this is his only easy scrap. Matt Veach. Y'all remember who Matt Veach is? Bet you don't. After that, Sean the Muscle Shark, right? Hermes Franca, Gray Maynard, and Spencer Fisher. Like, are you fucking kidding me? That's unbelievable. Like, this man has not had an easy fight than like the first maybe handful of fights. And like I said, I mentioned that one, whoever the fuck his name is, I already forgot. Like, are you kidding me? Frankie, the king of back-to-back fights, apparently, too. Right? That's like 3 of them up there. BJ, Gray Maynard, and Benson. It's crazy. You know, this has to be one of the most epic lists of who's when it comes to fighting. So basically what I'm getting at is, at this point of Frankie's career, he's become no more than a big name to put on the resume of these young and up-and-coming talents. And that's clearly what's going on here in this fight. Corey be looking to get back into a winning streak after suffering a loss to the hands of Aljamain Sterling via rear naked choke. I feel this fight will allow him to do so at this point. Not for the first time we have seen let's back it up here. You know, I feel that this fight will allow him to get back on track on his winning streak. You know, as the UFC has kind of done this a couple of times to groom some of their younger talent. Now, I can't imagine Corey wants to be going to the ground with Frankie, so I will be looking for him to enjoy that big, huge reach advantage. I kind of expect this fight to play out much like we saw Frankie versus Max, you know? Just Frankie's going to have trouble closing in that range on his opponent, I feel, you know? If Frankie hopes to win this fight, I think his best bet would be use his boxing skills to set up for a takedown and ground and pound Corey out. Ultimately, I would love to see Frankie win this fight as well. You know, I always have a soft spot for the guy in my heart. However, that being said, you know, my coin is on Corey for the decision win. Odd makers have this heavily in favor for Corey as well, and they've got the young man coming in at minus 370 favorite. Ouch. Not a pretty one. You know, will we see Frankie retire? Who knows, but I think it's about time, to be honest. This now leads us into the main event of the night, Alistair Overeem versus Alexander Volkov. The odds makers have Volkov the early favorite in this fight, currently at minus 170. I'm a little surprised that the numbers are not more close than what they're currently at, since Alistair has made the transition from Jackson Wink MMA to Denver, Colorado-based Team Elevation Fight. He's been on a tear. Winner of 4 of his last 5 fights, Alistair was winning that Rosenstruck fight until Rosenstruck KO'd him at the last second, which was crazy. If it wasn't for that, he'd currently be 5-0. He was clearly winning that fight. I do believe that the odd makers are reflecting on more so the age gap between the two fighters and not on the actual body of work that has been laid. Alistair is 4-1 with 4 KOs compared to his counterpart Volkov, who is 3-2 with 2 KOs and a decision win. I do realize that Alistair is the old man in this fight, but I just feel like he is committed to this goal of getting his hands on that belt one more time, and I'm telling you, a motivated Alistair Overeem is not someone you want to get in the ring with. This is a bad fight, I think, for Volkan. Volkan has a height advantage, but he will not be enjoying a reach advantage, as both men possess the same reach, and this will of course work against Volkov. You know, this always works against the taller fighter because, well, you lose a little bit of power when you're punching down, right? And Vulcan will need to avoid the clinch game of Overeem. Overeem loves to submit people via his classic standing guillotine, right? In this fight, I see Volkov looking to keep distance and make sure to stay off the cage. If Vulcan cannot to claim the center of the octagon, he will be in trouble and in for a long night. It'll be interesting to see if Overeem tries to take this one to the ground, because I feel his skill set is much stronger than his opponent's there. But we'll see. We'll see. This is going to be an interesting fight, you know? And my money is going to be on Overeem. You know, and I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to predict a standing guillotine choke. Tall Man and Alistair's clinch game are a bad combo. All right. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and Alright, as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and if you like what you've seen, make sure to smash that like button, and make sure to subscribe to the channel and stay up to date with what we've got going on here. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we will see you Monday for the breakdown of the fights. Peace.